Did you just leave when you're done, or do you stay?
So
Etiquette.
I clean up and then I leave. I bring everything upstairs and.
How long do they go, the meetings usually?
It really depends. Thank you. Because last time we had a problem.
It's always a problem. I work with the town of LaGrange a lot on their meetings. Because I'm an electrician, I do a lot of meetings around the building.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like every meeting is some kind of fiasco. Like the recorder didn't work.
Yeah.
You know, the video didn't drop down. You know, it's just something, you know, there's feedback if somebody moved the microphones around and you can't move the microphones around. I mean, like everything's gotta be like, just so, yeah.
Yeah, so I missed 20 minutes of the meeting last time, so I want to make sure that doesn't happen again because.
Yeah, you're supposed to
Take
take these notes and keep them for years.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, my notes are horrible though. I have the live stream recording, then I have a recorder recording, and I'll have my phone recording as well.
And you have to go off the notes.
Because your phone is
listen
probably
to
the
it.
only thing that really works, you know?
The phone is backup
Okay.
in case
Yeah.
something goes wrong. So, or the recorder's backup now. But in case something goes wrong with the recorder, I use my phone. So, and it was good that I had a recording last time because this got the whole meeting, but the live stream didn't get the whole meeting.
Okay.
So
And so then you type up your notes next day based on that?
I try to, I do the minutes. I have 2 weeks to do the minutes. Based on the recording.
I used to do court reporting in North Carolina. I was not good at it. But it wasn't the stenotype. It was a nice recorder, and then you always had a backup recorder too, just in case.
Yeah.
But it was called steno mask. I don't know if you've ever seen a court reporter with like a mask over their face.
No.
I don't know if it's still, this is now 20 years ago, more plus. But like the reporter would actually speak the whole proceedings. Like the attorney says this, the deposed one said that. Because when people talk over each other, you can't, I'm sure you play it over and over, you can't hear the differentiation. In person you can. You're like, oh, the attorney said this and this is the response. And so as the typist is back in the office typing it back up, if she can't understand from the recording, she just would click a button and it would go over to the mask, which would be at the same point. So it would go to the actual reporter that was saying what the attorney said and what the...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I hated that. It was so much pressure. I did not like that job.
I don't think
it was so much pressure.
Could do that. I can't, I'm a pretty fast typer, but there's no way. I can't keep up. I can't.
Yeah.
How do they do it?
Yeah.
It's
like some sort of shorthand
language.
Definitely is a skill. What I was doing was, I was not skilled. Very skilled.
Yeah.
I was not skilled for a courtroom. It was like depositions.
Right.
Like at a doctor's office or an attorney's office. That's pretty much what I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just actually reminded me.
See anything new? You said you've already kind of been along New England. Did you see anything new that you were like, that was worth seeing on your trip?
Oh, yeah. I've been to Boston, but only for a 5K, so pretty much everything was new.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I'm just letting...
That's awesome. So you're like, oh, I've seen it before. That's good.
I'm gonna just start recording, so when they get down here, they'll be ready. Oh, but yeah, we went to Salem, we went to Portland, Maine, all of that was new. New Hampshire, I've been to Mount Washington, New
Right.
Hampshire, that area. So we went to Portsmouth, New
Where's that?
Hampshire.
Okay.
Which was really nice. We were there at night and it was really nice, nightlife, street singers and.
Like small town
band.
vibe.
Yeah.
'Cause New Hampshire usually has little small towns.
Yeah, but it's a big town.
Nice.
Lots of restaurants, ice cream, like ice cream places,
That
dessert
sounds
places.
fun.
Yeah, it's something I would definitely wanna go back there. It was nice. And what's gonna today? Wait a minute, what's today? September 13th, 2022, planning board meeting. I'll be right back, I'm just gonna get them. Oh.
The booster, he's got, it's prepared.
I'm meeting day to get my workout.
Yeah, those
Those
stairs are no
stairs.
joke. Those things go straight
Those
up.
stairs are no
And just
joke.
when you think you're done, like there's like 10 more.
They're like higher than any stair.
I know.
Yeah. They need an escalator.
Is there an elevator somewhere
No.
for anyone that's like handicapped?
Well, you can come in through the back.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've ever been to the DMV.
Oh, okay. Yep, it's up high by Uncle.
Yes. So the DMV's not there anymore,
Oh, okay.
but you can get in through the back
I know
doors of
that.
the too.
Okay. I can do the stairs still. I'm just.
Yeah.
Just be lazy.
Hey, Rob.
Small crowd tonight, huh?
Yeah.
For now. So the live stream is going. I've been recording. Going. Are we gonna start with 5:26?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
green tape and an arrow under those seats? Is that the one I'm not supposed to say? All right.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the September 13th meeting, 2022, for the Planning Board. You do the roll, Cliff?
Rob Pfister,
Here.
Adam Morosky, is not here, Lou Nusella.
Here.
Pete Pinelli.
Here.
Mike Marsand.
Here. Well, you want to lead some pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you guys get a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Need a motion to,
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, first on the agenda, we have 527 Route 22, Duane Lake Academy. How you doing?
Hi.
You want to step up in front of the board?
Sure.
You just want to give us a brief description of what you're
Sure.
doing?
We've been, we're a local school. We're a nonprofit school, K through 12. We're a registered New York school. We've been operating in the building right next door in 535 East Main Street. No, I guess it's 535 Route 22. They have a different address for Main Street. So we've been right above where the Top Day School is for 8 years. We just got notice in July that they needed more space to operate their school. So we had till the end of August, but we decided they probably needed that time to get ready for their own students, so we moved out that weekend, so that way they could get ready.
Sure.
So we went in motion finding another location, and they had one right actually down the same driveway, 527 is right next door. We just need a small space. We're usually 10 to 15 students per year. We're very small. There's parent participation as part of our registration with New York. Right now we just have 5 students. We didn't enroll anyone new because we didn't have a location. So school has started, and we're asking for a possible special use permit to use this area for our school.
Sure, sure.
What age is the students?
Currently, or our registration?
Your registration.
Registration is K through 12. Currently, we have, typically it's high school, I'd like to say, so it's 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, one student per grade. We have one 4th grader this year as well.
Okay.
Interesting.
Sports, you do use the soccer field there?
We do not. Top has been generous, and they'll let us use it for some time during lunchtime.
How do you enroll in school?
We have an application online, and so people can just submit an application and meet with them. Usually it's, the reason why our enrollment is so small, it does require parent participation. We're a 2-day-a-week school. This is a registration from 1983. We were up in Duane, well, I was not, but in Duanesburg, New York. They were 2 days what they would call on campus, so in person, so that's what we'll be doing at the same location, and then the rest, the students work at home with an assignment that their parents have to make sure that they get done. So it's not a fit for everybody, their parents aren't available or want to, so.
It's like
You
a
have a
hybrid.
mixture between homeschooling and in-school schooling.
Correct, it's kind of a, well, when we first moved in, Miss and Top could not fill out the space, and so they weren't quite happy that we were there, because we thought there was a little competition, but it really, we weren't, and they saw over the years, you know, we just didn't have the same market of students.
Right.
So we've actually gotten along really well. They're allowing us to keep our stuff in a unused portion until we find a spot.
What's actually the tuition?
Tuition is currently for high school it's $6,700 a year, and usually elementary is lower, it's like $4,500. So we try to keep it affordable. It's not profit. I'm also a parent at the school. I'm an administrator. I do not make money. You know, so we just kind of volunteer our time. We have a science teacher right now who's a retired doctor and physics major, so he teaches all of our science classes. He's just turned 80 last Saturday, so, you know, he volunteers, you know, and he stayed with us now for like 6 years, so.
Sounds nice.
We have kind of reviewed it. I mean, yes, you do need a special use permit. I mean, you're also gonna need a site plan approval. So I think, really, that's how we gotta move forward with the application. Next step for you would be to fill out a site plan application
Okay.
with Vivian. She can give you the information. She'll give you a checklist that you need to fill out. Just make sure you fill out all of the questions on there. Don't leave any blank.
Okay.
We can set an escrow now, if you'd like. That way, the sooner that you give the escrow, the sooner our planners can start reviewing the project, and we can
So even
hopefully
before the
move it
next
along.
Planning meeting, I would be able to give this to you, or no, next planning?
Well, it depends. It depends who you use to prepare the site plan application.
Recommendations, or?
I don't know.
I can do anyone.
Yes, you can.
And who would I go to for that, like an architect or?
Yeah, most likely an architect. They'd be able to help you get through that process for sure. There's a couple around. There's a couple good ones around that are very familiar with the process.
Okay, I'm not, this is my first time.
Yeah, no, it's very hard to do it on your own. It is. I do recommend getting an architect to do it for you. For this, I don't know. We should start it.
What did you start with?
I know Karen usually starts at 2,500, and I think with legal fees, I'd say we'd have to at least a minimum of 3,000 set escrow at for this particular.
How does escrow work? I just,
Yeah, you'll write a check to Vivian for, I'm not sure who it's.
Plan to the Village of Pawling, and it's used to pay consultant fees and legal fees. And you'll typically submit that with the site plan application. And there's also an application fee, but that's
Right.
all online.
yeah, no, I figured I was probably about $1,500 for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just needed to know if we could even afford it, so we appreciate it.
And if you have any questions, Vivian's here. What are your hours, Vivian?
12 to 4.
And she's here every day,
She's
12 to 4?
very available, yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
All right,
you.
you're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, Henshin Place, 2K Development.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Good. My name is John First. I'm an attorney at Catania Man and Ryder. Thanks for placing this on the agenda tonight. I represent 2K Development and Henshin Dairy. Also with me tonight is Ken Stanger, co-counsel, Stanger Dining and Glass, and Kelly Leibnick of KRC Planning. I think you're all familiar with the project, with the property, and the history. I'm going to be very brief. The planning board issued a negative declaration in January of 2020. Then the planning board issued a denial in October of 2020. The applicant was forced to file a lawsuit. The court annulled the planning board's denial, and the judge based this on many factors, mainly the existence and the findings in the 2020 neg deck that was completed by this planning board. Judge basically systematically broke down the denial. The decision really from the judge removes all discretion. The planning board's consideration is complete. The approval flows naturally from the judge's decision. You had draft approvals from your consultant, Joe Berger Engineering, back in August of 2020. So we think this is right for the approval as per the judge's instructions. I will turn it over to Kelly Leibel. She's gonna go over the site plans. It's been a while, just to refresh your recollection, kind of bring you guys up to speed. I think there's a couple of new members that want to hear back then. So she can quickly kind of go through it for you, so that way you guys are refreshing your recollection.
Well, before we do that, council, let me first represent that I had about a 15-minute meeting with the board earlier this evening for legal advice to discuss with the board the status of the litigation between the applicant and the village. The decision of Justice Acker stated in part, quote, "There are two versions of the comprehensive plan, and remand is required as the board has previously found that the project was, quote, wholly inconsistent," close quote, with the December 1994 plan, and there is no evaluation of the project vis-a-vis the May 1994 plan. As the court cannot substitute its own judgment for that of the planning board, it would be inappropriate for the court to engage in its own analysis of this issue, close quote. Accordingly, the court is directing that the planning board make a fact-finding determination regarding how the subject applications are wholly inconsistent with the 1994 plan and how that was a basis to deny the applications. Now, it is my opinion, the opinion of my firm, that that particular order is executory. In other words, it's requiring that this board engage in future conduct. As such, it is our opinion that that particular decision and order is subject to an automatic stay under CPLR 5519A1. The village has in fact filed a notice of appeal from that decision, and that appeal is pending. The question then for this board that's presented to this board is, should this action go forward in light of the fact that the enforcement of that decision order is stayed, in our opinion, is stayed under 5519A of the CPLR. And so, again, it's our opinion that it is. I think, in fairness to the applicant, if the applicant wants to address that issue either this evening or if you want to submit a legal memorandum, I'm sure the board will be happy to consider that. But as of the present, it's my advice to this board that this action cannot go forward. This application cannot go forward as it is stayed.
I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree because the judge in her decision actually goes through both comprehensive plans. And the judge has specific language that says both comprehensions are consistent, whether it's May or December 1994. So there is no discretion, there is no review or consideration for the planning board. The judge's instructions were to review it with respect to the neg deck and her decision. And page 11, quoting from the judge, simply put, the contents of the May 1994 plan are not so different from the December 1994 plan. So what's there to review? There's nothing to review. The judge has already addressed this in her decision. So I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree with Mr. Rosardi. I think in the interim, in the interest of time, since my client brought his consultant here to kind of go over the site plans, I think it's at the very least, maybe we can agree to disagree for now and argue this at another time. But I think at the very least, I think the consultant should be able to go over the site plans since they came here tonight.
Well, I think it would be inconsistent with our position that this matter is stayed if we were to go ahead and start considering this application now.
Well,
so
can
I would not recommend to this board that you start hearing the application at this time.
I have to say I'm in agreement with Bob. I mean, it does seem like we're kind of just going to waste each other's time until, we get our day in court, basically, again.
Well, the consultant's here to go through a presentation. This is the first we're hearing of this issue. It would have been nice if you could have reached out a week ago or 2 weeks ago when we submitted our letter. We could have talked about it then. I think it's kind of unfair. that you put us in this position and my client to bring.
Counsel, our position's been made known. It's no secret.
It was never made known until 5 minutes
Disagree
ago.
with you.
In all fairness, also, Bob has been out with COVID for
Right.
for a little while now, and Dave's been out of the country right now.
Right.
He's away. So, I mean, it's in the last 2 weeks, we haven't really had a lot of time to go over this.
I'm in full agreement with Mr. Lasardi. I think we should just wait until have one day in court and then go from there.
Right, I mean, I think if you at least let the consultant go through the site plan, and you guys can figure out for yourselves whether it's executory or non-executory, whether there's discretion or no discretion. I'm arguing one way, Bob's arguing a different way. Again, she's here to present it.
Yeah.
How do you know until we have that presentation?
It's a matter of interpreting the decision itself, and I read to you a quote from the decision.
Okay, so then,
So, I mean, it's right on page 12, of the decision, of the amended decision that I read. You can't, I mean, it's not a matter of interpreting anything, the decision says what it says. And so as a matter of law, it's my opinion that the automatic stay applies.
Right, but what about the decision from 2 pages before that where the judge says that both comprehensive plans are not so different?
The original decision remanded it back to this board for the purpose of approving the site plan and the special use permit. The amended decision is the decision that contained the language I read, where the court is now asking this board to make a determination and to make additional findings of fact here. That's executory, and that is why that decision as amended is stayed automatically under 5519A. If it's something that you know, I'm sorry, I mean, if you want to take this up with Judge Acker, I'd be happy to address a motion with you, but, you know, that's my opinion. So I think this board has to.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take a vote on a resolution for tonight.
The resolution, if I may just propose resolution, would you care to?
Yeah, so the resolution we'd like to put up for vote tonight is be it resolved that upon the opinion of council is determined of this board that enforcement of the decision and order of the Honorable Christy Acker is subject to the automatic stay pending appeal set forth in CPLR 5519. Accordingly, no action will be taken upon the submission made by the applicant pending determination of the pending appeal.
Take a vote.
You want to take roll on that, Vivian?
Lou Musella.
Aye.
Peter Pinelli.
Aye.
Mike Mersand.
Aye.
Rob Pfister.
Aye.
If I can just get a copy of that resolution once it's filed, thank you.
Sure. Right, next on the agenda, we have Main Corner Properties.
Good evening, folks.
How you doing?
Thank you, Jacobitz and Gubitz, Diane Tomasetti, and Kurt Johnson, who's also here.
And could you come up here so
Sure.
I get you on the recording, please?
Yep.
Also, Mr. Chairman, before we start on this one, I'd like to also disclose the fact that we had about a 10-minute meeting before this meeting, again, for the purpose of my giving legal advice to this board with regard to pending litigation between the applicant and the village, and legal issues related to that matter. So, go ahead.
Yeah, the board requested that we submit a long environmental assessment form at the last meeting. We did submit that.
Yes.
The board's had it for the 2 weeks. I don't know whether there's any comments on that or not.
Unfortunately, it's been a tough health period here for us. Our planner, Karen, had a death in the family, and she's been out of the state, and she really hasn't had a chance to completely review the EAF. I think one of the things that, in the meantime, until we can get you guys back here and she can have her chance to do a full review of that, is if there's anything else, any other changes that have happened to the project along the way, whether or not you're having it on the amended site plan or not, if there's any other changes you can think of, Kurt, or Diane, or
Yeah.
Ben, to possibly list those?
Yeah, I mean, I think we spelled out kind of in our initial submission, basically all the issues that kind of were outstanding that were not in compliance with the approved site plan or field changes. So I think that was all in the initial submission to this board.
All right.
And in the past, I mean, we've been able to tentatively schedule a public hearing pending, you know, in the next week or so, if I can work with Karen, if there's anything she wants tweaked on the EAF, that we could do that in advance of the meeting, so.
Right, she's still not back. She's been gone for, I want to say, almost 10 days now, and as of today, she still wasn't back. I think she's due back on Thursday.
Is she a solo practitioner?
I don't know, who else works with her?
Because certainly there's other people then in her firm that could handle that.
Well, I'd like to stick with Karen, actually.
Yeah, I mean, she's been here for this project all along.
And she knows the project, so I don't think we should.
I mean,
let her go.
she went through the first EAF, I believe.
I'm just wondering, Rob, if there's a possibility, if the public hearing is the beginning of, or in the mid part of October, and whatever the deadline is for placement in the paper and all that type of stuff, but we could tentatively schedule it for that, and if we can get everything resolved prior to that deadline date, if that would work, so we could have our meeting in October.
I still think we'll be able to have our meeting in October. It's just hard for me to set that date without, conferring with her, really.
Well, I think the board tonight could schedule the public hearing, and then and before the notice hits the newspaper, if it turns out that the EAF, if any differences cannot be resolved with us, then don't publish the notice.
Do we actually want to get a list of what was and what is now, what was required in the changes?
Well, we submitted that already.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, I mean,
been
it's
submitted.
the
We
stance.
have a list from A to Z or
Yeah,
something.
I think that was in Mr.
Yep.
Orr's letter, and there was some site issues too that we had in our initial submission too.
Yeah, we've responded to all of that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I went through these papers, and I have to tell you, I don't see a proposed amended site plan that contains all of the changes that the applicant is requesting. There's been back and forth, I'll agree. I mean, there was the Orr letter, there's a response to the Orr letter. There's stuff here and there. But if the applicant's gonna go forward with an amended site plan, there's gotta be a document, set of documents that constitute the full panoply of issues of changes between the original approved site plan and what they're looking for this board to approve. And I would also mention that there may be issues as to whether or not the changes that have been made to the physical property, whether or not they are in fact shown or not shown on the proposed amended plan. So I think we should take an opportunity to first of all be clear about what the differences are that you're seeking to have this board approve in an amended site plan. In other words, changes from the original site plan to what you're asked, the full picture of all of the changes you're looking for this board to approve.
Can you be more specific as to what's missing?
Well, I'm going to ask you.
We addressed everything in Mr. Johnson's letter.
I can't tell you what's missing because I haven't seen a complete plan. That's what I'm asking you to do.
No, we've submitted that with
For you
Mr.
to-
Johnson's letter with photographs and
A
also
letter
the
is not a
narrative.
plan.
No,
A letter's not a
there's an
site plan.
amended site plan. We talked about elimination of a parking space because of the NYSEG pole that was put in, and there were certain things that were amended. There are things on the site now.
Can you show me that amended plan? I want to see the amended plan, the actual site plan that shows all the changes.
I think it was submitted, I don't have it with me tonight, but I think it was submitted to the board quite a while ago.
Well, I just need you to identify it and have it before the board. That's all I'm saying here. Because otherwise, I think we're going to have continued confusion.
Yeah.
Particularly if there's continued litigation here. I want the record to be clear about what exactly is the site plan that you're seeking this board to approve. And it's got to be in a site plan, the way the regulations require for a site plan. And having a, you know, a letter here and a letter there is, you know, is just, you know, begging for confusion
Yeah.
and disagreement.
Understood, but I think a plan was submitted, and I just want to clarify that there are things on the site now that don't match this amended site plan. Those are going to be changed to match the site plan. There's curbing that's in different spots and stuff, but those are going to be changed, so it's not even an issue at this point, because there's things on the site currently that are going to be changed to match the amended site plan. So we're
Sure.
not asking for approval.
Well, not even a change, they haven't been done yet.
Well, there's
So
two.
they're not there.
Yeah.
So they're not there yet, but we sat here and we went through the list from A, I believe it was A to Q.
Right.
And your comment, your response was, all you're proposing to do is to do what you should have done in the first place.
No,
So
not
that
completely.
was
A lot
all
of
of the
them.
things, many of the things.
Right.
So.
But I mean, we got to the point where.
So are you looking for a photo, though, sorry, are you looking for a site plan as in, what is it that you're looking for? Pictures
The
to show?
regulations, the town zoning code sets forth regulations for a site plan. And what I'm saying, quite simply, is whatever the plans were that you would have submitted originally for site plan approval, and that's generally a series of maps showing the site and showing the features on the site that you want to install, okay? And in this particular case, you would have a site plan, a map, showing the original, showing the original plan and what you seek to change in each of those items on the original plan under the amended plan. That way, the whole picture is before this board in the manner that the village's regulations require for a site plan approval. Otherwise, we have,
Well, that's what.
we have a letter, we have your responsive letter, you know, it's not clear, and it's not in the form that this board needs to make a decision unless it's all on a map.
I understand that, but a big portion of where we are now is our site plan, per se, has not changed. The
Correct.
footprint of the property has not changed. So what you see that appears to be so different is just aesthetics on the building itself.
Well,
But
that's
for
part,
us, if
right,
we
so
were-
is it your position that
if
that's
we
not part
bring
of your
you this-
site plan?
Yeah, we're not
But-
changing the site.
Well,
We're simply changing the architecturals
just
on the
for
building.
clarification, we did submit, as part of the original, with the architectural changes, was elimination of a parking space because of the NYSEG pole that was installed and the power panel. So that was part of what was submitted as a package to the board. I think that was back probably in the spring sometime.
Well, let's
And
be-
it was an amended site plan.
All right, let me be clear then, all right? The original application submitted a front elevation of the building, the appearance of the building. It had specifics with respect to siding, roofing, columns, other features of the building, which was part of the submission to this board and was
Correct.
the basis for this board's approval. Are you submitting, as part of your amended site plan, a different front elevation of the building?
Yes, we have done that.
Okay, and that's one of the things you're asking this board to consider in the amendment of the site plan.
Correct, site plan and architectural approval.
So, all I'm saying is, well, let me ask, because you've said this before, is what you've submitted, and if you give us the date of the submission and, identify the document, if you're saying that that document that you submitted to this board constitutes the entire application for amended site plan approval, then just tell us that, and that's what we're gonna review.
Yeah, I believe that was our starting point, is what we submitted, because we did an as-built of the site as it stands today. We checked that against the approved site plan. We looked at what the changes needed to be and what we needed to fix on the site. That's what we submitted along with the architectural changes, and I think that was in the spring sometime. I don't have
And
that
since
document.
then,
think
all right,
it's
so,
a-
so I'm clear, and since then, there was this report, and then there was, your client's response of July 20 and so forth. I assume there've been other discussions back and forth about, what the board has in mind, what the applicant has in mind, but at some point, you have to come to your final position of what you want to go forward on.
Yes, and I think we've submitted that. Mr. Orr's letter, I mean, it's very concise, it has a lot of information in it. It's really nothing else that the board already didn't pick out, and the building department didn't pick out as items. We've taken that, we submitted a plan with his letter, and here was our proposed changes. We wanted to get a dialogue going with the board to be able to discuss each of those issues and go down through each one and say, yes, this is acceptable, no, we need to work on this one, no, this is a non-starter. It's kind of that where we're working with. We've put the applicant's proposal in front of the board
Okay.
to look at.
So then, all right, so, and again, I haven't been here for these previous meetings, and I hope you understand that, I'm covering for Dave Daniels tonight, but so, other than your client's letter of July 2022, July 20, 2022, where she responds to the OR report, are there any other proposals that the board has to consider here?
On the site plan, yes, reduction of a parking space, and I think there was
Where
a couple.
was that presented in some document?
Yes, that was way previous to the architectural stuff, that was in the beginning when we resubmitted to the board.
Okay, if you'd like us to recap everything and get it, we can sit down and just put it together one more time. I mean,
I just think,
We can wrap it up into a final document, say, here's the new site plan, here's the architectural, here it is.
and what does that have to do with the EFA long form we submitted?
well, I'll tell you, I mean, the long form relates to what your proposal is, all right?
And they're
so
consistent.
Yeah.
They have to be consistent.
Yes, they are.
And
And
they
they
have to
are.
be reviewed together.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I would just think it's, and I think it would be also helpful if we're gonna go through with this board, and this board is gonna go line by item by item, you know, to say, well, yeah, we'll approve this, or we'll approve that, to have a list, of the changes.
That Mr. Orr did,
We've
that we
given
went through
that.
and responded to,
Right, we've given
item
that.
by item.
So, look, I think for your own sake and for the board's sake, you should put together a list of what you understand the outstanding issues to be, so that we have a comprehensive document, and when we go through it, we're done, all right? I don't wanna be
Submitted
going
that.
back and forth. And that is what?
And that was
I'm talking
presented
about a
to the
July
board at
20
the last
letter.
meeting.
Is it the July 10, is it your client's letter of July 2022, or is there another document?
That's the architectural changes. We were
Okay,
at
well-
that meeting, we were responding to that and requested at that meeting to submit an updated EAF to go along with everything, which we did.
All right, but again, I mean,
And that was the only request made at that
Okay,
meeting.
so
All
we,
right.
let's
but let's see
just
the
go
plan,
forward.
and let's see the
go
list of
forward.
the changes.
Do you
that's
guys,
all.
is it your intention to hold a public hearing?
At some point, we're gonna have
Is it
to.
your intention to actually come to a point where we can work together and actually get this situation rectified and opened?
Oh, absolutely, we've wanted to all along.
Okay, well, because there's very little communication, and we could speed this along if we gave you all our architectural things at the last meeting, and then you asked us to do the environmental. And we come back with the environmental, and you're asking us for the architectural again. So I understand
Yeah.
where we are now, it makes sense to do it like this, but I just would like to know the board's intention. And in the near future, or is this really gonna kick the can for another year or two? Just so I know.
Well, we can't
No,
prejudge
we don't
this
wanna do
matter.
that.
I mean, the board can't tell you, anything until it tells you something. I don't wanna be, binding this board to some agreement before everything is discussed in the way it's supposed to be discussed with the board. It's a collective board, it has to be a comprehensive decision made in accordance with seeker and in accordance with the laws of the town. And, to have this board say that we're gonna do something before they've gone through the process is not proper.
Well, I asked if it was their intention.
Our intention is to get the project complete. Our intention is not to continually kick the can down the road, which we haven't been doing. I mean, you might think we are, but we
We've had
certainly
many
are not.
months. We have
want
many
this-
months it was
Yeah,
stagnant.
I know this is difficult for you, and it's difficult for us.
I understand
I want
that.
this project over with as soon as possible.
Okay,
Fair enough.
so let's schedule the public hearing for October, and we can move the project along.
Well, I
I
think
think
we
we
also
should
have
have-
some, we also will have some seeker issues that have to be dealt with here before, and there may be some, I don't wanna go to a public hearing with a plan that is, still needs to be further developed.
We don't believe it does.
Well, we may have a different opinion.
Well, we should have heard that by now. We submitted it in the spring,
We just admitted that we want to go forward,
right?
and we're not gonna kick the can down the road.
Right.
So if we have to wait another month for a public meeting, I think we can wait another month until we get the documentation that we're seeking tonight, make the comparisons, and go from there.
Okay, and what kind of seeker issues could there be? Is there something that you should tell us about now?
I think that's gonna, no, go ahead, Bob. You wanna answer
Well,
that
again, I mean,
question?
I'm not gonna I'm the attorney for the board, I'm not gonna prejudge, and I think the board has to do some collective decision-making, but I can tell you that one of the issues is going to be what the environmental impacts are of the changes in the appearance of the building. All right, and whether it's in keeping with the character of the neighborhood or not, whether it's, what the aesthetics are, what the historic impacts are, and so forth. And not only the appearance of the building, but all the other aspects of the amendment to the site plan. And is that a substantial change? Does there need to be a rescission of the negative declaration? Does there need to be further environmental review of the project? These are all questions that are gonna have to be addressed by this board. And that's a
So
process.
what's
And then
present-
other
what's
involved agencies
prevent-
might want to be heard as well, one way or the other.
Does the board need to, in order to do your seeker determination, you have to have a public hearing, correct?
Yeah, we also have to have plans to submit to the public for a public hearing. We have to have plans to review for the seeker determination. And, other involved agencies are gonna need to see plans too. I can't be sending out to the county, this letter and this letter,
Right.
and stuff like this. It's, nobody's gonna know what to look at. I need to have some sort of a comprehensive set of plans that show the changes, and preferably a list, 1 through whatever, of what the changes are between the approved map and what you're proposing to this board. And then I think we have something that we can, we're reading from the same music,
If that's in place by the deadline for the next meeting, could that work to have the public hearing at the October meeting if we make the deadline for that meeting with this list of items?
I have another question. Excuse me, Kurt, but aside from pushing the public hearing, how are we going to get to the place where we determine if it fits into the character of the community? Because when you read the comprehensive plan and then you want to discuss that being the gateway into the village, it's not, that building is not mentioned per se. So there's a lot of gray area, and how are we going to determine that?
I can give you some advice. Ask Kurt. He came before us,
But
and he
it's-
came before us and sold us on the original site plan. So he knows exactly what the gateway to the community means, and he knows exactly what's gotta be on that
Lou,
corner.
with all due respect, it's not Kurt's fault that,
I'm not saying it's
that
his
the
fault.
building looks like that,
I'm not
so
saying
we
it's
can't
fault.
turn to
Yeah.
Kurt. So
No,
who is supposed to?
you know what I mean.
Lou,
Who is
I
supposed
understand
to
what,
answer?
exactly what Lou is saying, but
Yeah.
I do too.
we're at a point now, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever, we have a building that's standing there. And I think in the good of all of us working together, if we can come to some sort of resolve that makes that work for, may not be 100% for everybody, but at least get to a point where we can say, yeah, this is okay, let's get it open, get a restaurant going, get tax dollars in, and go from
I
there.
understand. I was just advising Diana to speak to you because you're learned in exactly what we need.
And I understand your point, Lou.
But
Okay,
if, I
good.
can't go to him and ask him for the decision.
No, you can't go to him and ask him, but you can go to him and ask him,
No,
what
so
do I
who is
need to
going
get a
to,
decision?
how are we going to get a decision? I can't redo it.
I think Kurt knows what we need.
Well, I understand conceptually what we need, but I think we need to really look at each issue of the stuff and say, yeah, this is okay, we need to work on this, or
Kurt,
we can't.
if you don't think that each one of us has been doing this for the past year and a half, you're mistaken.
No, I understand that, but we need to come to consensus somehow
So
to
what-
say, yes, let's move this forward somehow, because I understand we're all working, but we're not getting anywhere, unfortunately.
Well, I
And
think,
I'm not asking you to make any decisions or to answer my questions, but these are some of the questions that I have. Like, so if we, on this second floor, if we make that brick wall look like, more of a banister feel, and we put the shutters in where they belong, like, are you going to consider leaving the roof as it is? Are you going to insist that the roof is painted? Like,
what I would recommend is, let's follow up on what Mr. Lasardi said, let's get 2 lists going, let's, know exactly what we're gonna have on the site plan and move forward. I mean, I don't think we should, personally, what I would approve and what I wouldn't approve at this point.
no, I wasn't asking for an answer.
Okay.
I'm just saying, are those the steps that we have to take? Because we don't know what else to do. I don't know how to prove whether it fits into the character
It's
of
very
the community.
subjective, yeah.
Yeah, there's more than one answer as to what fits into the character of the neighborhood.
Well, we don't necessarily agree with that, but,
I disagree with that.
I think that we have a method for going forward here that I think will be efficient if it's followed. And I think at that point, when you submit what I've suggested you submit, that we can methodically go through the proposed amendments, and you can have I think a meaningful dialogue with the board. But we need to have all the issues on, one map and one list of changes, and let's go through it.
I can put that together.
All right. Any other things you can think of, Kurt, too? Like, if there's any other changes that deviate from the original site plan?
Yeah, we'll go through
Like,
it, we'll put the letters together that we've already submitted into one document and maps, so that you have the full package, and hopefully we can move from there.
All right, because I could think of a couple. Like, I know that the basement height was raised, which raised the building a foot, I think, from grade.
Mhm.
So maybe establish what the height of the building is now from what was established, I think, last year now, what the actual building height is. Obviously, the generator sitting out there, I know is a little bit of a contention. It's a commercial generator on the property next door. That's probably not just for the house. I mean, I don't know if the intention is to use it also for the restaurant.
At this point, I may just bring it to the factory, so.
I mean, if you're gonna have a generator, try to work that, if you wanna use it there, then put it on the site plan. I mean,
There's nowhere to put it on the site plan.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, I would think with that issue, I would think it need to be an easement with the property at 140 to allow 146 to also use that generator, but it won't fit on our site plan.
Well, but it would be part of your site plan application, that, if you're gonna have an off-site, item that is part of the functioning of the property, that needs to get shown on the plan. You can show it as an easement on the adjoining property, but it's gotta be there. The other thing too, I just wanna say this one more time. This whole picture also is that if it's not shown on the proposed amended site plan, then it's going to, whatever it is that's there physically now is gonna be removed, and it's going to be, installed as per the original site or the amended site plan, okay? So we wanna know, we don't wanna be going through this over and over again. Let's get it all here. So if it's not on the map and we see, like the generator, for example, if it's not on some plan, then it's not part of your site plan that we're gonna, and if it's not part of your site plan that we're gonna approve or disapprove or whatever, it'll be a violation, right? We wanna get these violations straightened out, so let's be clear about that. If it's not on the plan, it's gonna be taken out.
and one other thing that I know was discussed the first time around was the screening on the adjacent property. I mean, we couldn't really address it. I mean, it was shut down, that we couldn't address it because it wasn't on the property, but we were told that there was gonna be screening put on the property next door because you guys were the owners of the property, and then now the property's completely clear-cut, and all that screening that was there is gone now. So, I mean, it's things like that. It's not
Well, I think
just...
Well,
There's
we've been waiting for the weather to change, to fix 140, because it was just too dry, this whole season to plant anything.
Yeah, that has a row of plantings, I think, on 140 that
On
is
both,
screening
on
for
both
that.
sides of 140.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to be fixed up, but we've had.
No, I know, but that was like a direct impact by, that you guys own the property next door, that you cut down all of that screening, and now you kind of
We
left
have
us
to
with.
cut down things for parking space, just for maneuvering. We didn't, listen.
No, I know.
What happened in 140 is irrelevant right now.
Well, it did
Like
directly
that-
affect that, we were told that screening was gonna be put on that piece of property that was gonna be for 146.
Give
and-
us a chance. We haven't been on the property
I know,
and we're in a
but
major drought.
No, I
You
know.
talking about plants?
But we don't know what's gonna be there, like,
I think there's a row of plantings that was on the approved site plan that was gonna be on the property line between 140 and 146, I believe.
140 wasn't really on the site plan, though. If
So what's
146
screening
shows
from
nothing,
that?
it could,
What
140
property are you looking to screen?
What screening?
146. We would like to screen the residential houses from 146.
Okay, that's not on the original site plan?
Where?
No.
Yeah, I'll have to
No.
check
I
that.
think there was still a bunch of trees there at that point.
Well, yeah, there was, so there was no need to screen it at the time.
Okay. See, I don't have the landscape plan with me.
Yeah, 'cause it
Is
went-
there, let me just ask this question, I guess if we're starting to talk about the adjoining property, are these two properties under common ownership? I mean, you know, is 140 and 146,
It's not the same owner. It's not the same ownership. They're different entities that
is it
own.
the same owner, is it the
Same
same
control.
principal? Sorry?
Same control.
Same control, okay. So if we were to ask, for example, for an easement on 140 for, let's say, screening, that would be something that would be within the control of the
Correct,
applicant.
yes, definitely,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So then I guess if, you know, that you might want to show an easement, like a, you know, whatever foot wide strip for plantings for screening, right, on the adjoining property.
Yeah, something.
If
There's
that's
gotta
what
be.
you're, gonna wanna see.
Is screening on 140 going to provide the screening of the
For
restaurant that you're
146.
looking for?
Right,
Yeah?
yes.
That's where you'd want the screen?
Well, it has to be unless you're gonna put it in the parking lot. The parking lot, you were given a variance to pull the parking right up to the edge of the property, so there was no room left
I
for
just want to make sure
screening.
that was on
Yeah.
that side of the
Yeah.
property that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kurt, does the generator have to be above ground?
I think so, yes.
Does?
I think there'd be problems if it was underground.
Well, I'm just thinking of
Yeah.
Grand Central Station and all the power that they have down there.
Right.
You know, I'm telling you, if you can bury that.
Yeah,
according to
Buried
code.
or
I'm gonna
enclosed.
guess you probably cannot.
Oh, I thought I
We
might.
can enclose it.
What about like some type of enclosure?
We could-
Enclose it maybe, but not underground.
No, all right, no,
Yeah,
screen
yeah,
it.
but yeah, it's gonna have, something's gonna have to be done to that.
Yes.
Because it is, yeah,
That's,
it's an eyesore.
It
Um,
wasn't on the original plan, so.
Yeah, no, we addressed that tonight.
Is that a propane generator?
Yes, it is, yes.
Propane or not, propane?
Yeah,
And
With the buried tanks?
there's two underground tanks that were on the approved site plan.
all right, and those tanks would feed that generator?
Yes.
A lot of gas.
well, if we lose power, we'd like the restaurant to remain open.
You're about one of the only few in the area, I can tell you that.
Okay, we,
Need to make a resolution, or we just say goodnight? Goodnight, Gracie.
Yeah,
we'll see you next month.
yeah.
Okay, Groucho.
Do we have, so we have to submit within 2 weeks?
For the deadline for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
All right, good night.
Okay.
Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you.
Good night.
Night,
See you.
Kurt.
Let's close the meeting, I guess.
Well, we have old business on here first.
Okay,
Do we have any,
I'm sorry.
Do we have any old business that anyone would like to speak about?
No.
You got escrow.
Yeah, do we have anything on escrow that we need to discuss?
No, we covered it.